Oh boy, there is so much to talk about from Microsoft's press conference at E3. It just wrapped up. There's a lot to soak in. It was a very, very long conference, which we kind of knew ahead of time. There were reports coming out before the show happened that it was like 2.5 hours, something crazy. And it turned out to be a 2-hour show. So yeah, a lot to dive into, some surprises, some really great things, some disappointments, and just a whole bunch of stuff. So yes, the first official conference of E3 has now concluded. And like I said, there was so much to talk about. Microsoft's show, overall, I thought was really, really solid. It was a good show that I did enjoy, that had a lot of stuff that I found interesting. And now I was pretty vocal going into the show that I thought Microsoft had a real shot at stealing the entire thunder of E3. I thought they were going to come out swinging real hard and showing us new hardware, talking about Project Xcloud, hopefully having some major, huge surprise game reveals. They had a lot of extra attention focused on them this year because Sony wasn't a part of the show, and so I was really expecting something potentially mind-blowing. And I do have to say that overall, that's not quite what we got. Like I said, a solid show that I very much enjoyed with a bunch of great stuff, but it didn't feel like they really came to fight, quote unquote. You know, I don't really know of a better way to phrase it. I thought that that's what they were going to be really trying to accomplish this year. And it's not that they were throwing softballs, but it just felt like kind of an average good show from Microsoft. I think that if we look at the way their conferences have trended the past few years, I really think in terms of presentation alone, they've really been the cream of the crop. I feel like they're like the last company who really understands the art, so to speak, of the E3 press conference, because they do have a great pace to their show. They do show a lot of games and a lot of content. They have a lot of energy. It seems very upbeat. It kind of keeps you invested, and you feel like you're in that sort of fun vibe and atmosphere of E3, and that is definitely one of the strongest points to Microsoft shows. And this year, just in terms of that aspect, I think is one of their strongest years in the last couple of years. So that part was really nice to see. But unfortunately, it did lack some oomph and some pizzazz and some really, really big heavy hitter moments. They really missed that opportunity. And by the time we get to the end here, we'll talk about, you know, the console reveal and everything that happened there with next generation hardware, and how I felt about that as well. I think the thing that I really took away from this is the first probably 2/3 of the show was just all games, which is great. That's what we want. We want video games. He said we have like 63 games we're showing, 34 on Game Pass, 15 world exclusives, you know, the kind of numbers they like to throw out. And so that was very exciting. And yeah, they really just showed game after game after game. It almost became mind-numbing after a while. There were so many games, but that's not a bad problem to have, right? So they showed a bunch of games, and the thing is, a lot of the games they showed were very cool and stuff I am absolutely planning on picking up and very excited about. But there was so little gameplay shown this year. I don't even know if there was a single trailer that featured a significant amount of gameplay. I mean, you know, they started off with The Outer Worlds, which looks like a cool Fallout-inspired kind of game, and that was like all gameplay, but I think everything else was like cinematics and trailers, man. I mean, almost everything else. There's probably a couple of games in there, and so I don't know, man. Like, I can accept the occasional cinematic trailer to get me hyped for a game, but after like 40 in a row at one press conference, I don't care who's doing the conference, I'm like, yo, slow down and show us some actual video games, man. Like, there were games shown today that we've already seen gameplay of previously, but they still elected to not put gameplay in today's trailers. It was like 98% CGI cutscenes, and while some of them were certainly cool, it kind of kills your hype and your interest in actually playing the video game that they're trying to advertise, right? So I found that to be a huge bummer and probably one of the biggest negatives for me from their show today. The amount of games was great. The quality of titles shown was great. The trailers themselves and the lack of gameplay was not so great and definitely a disappointment. But let's go ahead and run through some of the games that I thought were highlights to me. There was plenty of games shown that I'm not going to bring up here. There was like, whatever he said, like 65 games, 63 games. It was insane. But I've got a couple that, again, for me, I thought were very interesting, or games that I'm excited about. One of the early on ones is one you guys knew I was pumped for. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. Finally, this game has returned and we've seen it again. And they gave us the release date, February 11th, 2020. So that was surprising and definitely a little bit of a letdown knowing that it's not a 2019 game. I thought for sure if we saw it this year, it was going to be like, October, November, just like a holiday release. But that game is early 2020, which is really crazy. It just looks like the art and the gameplay is all the same, only stepped up to the next level. Extremely excited. You've heard me say Ori and the Blind Forest is one of my favorite games of the generation. My favorite Metroidvania game that's not Metroid or Castlevania. So it was great to see it and great to finally get that date, man. That game was first shown 2 or 3 years ago. And so that's coming in February. They did show a new trailer for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, which was great. EA teased that yesterday. I loved this new trailer. It featured gameplay and cinematics, showed some more Saw Gerrera stuff. The big takeaway from this was that by the time Cal shows up on Kashyyyk and meets Saw Gerrera, that they don't know each other. And it's a surprise when he says, I am a Jedi. And Saw's like, but the Jedi are dead. And it's like, no, we can keep the hope of the Jedi alive. And, I'm starting to realize that a lot of people might not understand what could be seen as a spoiler, but I don't really think it is a spoiler because the movies tell us this. This game cannot end happy. This game can't end happily. I love that they're trying to be like, this lone Jedi after Order 66 wiped them all out is the one who can restore hope and give us hope for peace in the galaxy. And it's like, yeah, A New Hope shows us that none of that happens. So whatever Cal's story is and this game's story is, as amazing as I expect it to be, it's not gonna end happy. Just like with Rogue One. That movie was a death march from the beginning, and that's exactly what happened. They all died at the end. Spoiler. And so I expect something similar here because the movies, again, dictate the story. But I still thought it was very, very great. Now, the game that is probably my favorite surprise game that we saw today that we had never heard of, we had no idea was being made, did not leak, no one was talking about this. This was a shocker, and it is the perfect Rob game. This game is made for me, and it is the Blair Witch game that they showed. And when that trailer started, you guys, the first thing I thought, because of the camera stuff, I was like, oh my god, is this a new Outlast? I bet this is Outlast 3. I really liked the first two. My girlfriend and I enjoyed those, so Outlast 3 will be a lot of fun. Then it started to look, and I'm not lying to you guys when I say this, for a hot second I thought it was a Silent Hill game. And I thought I was going to die right here in my room. I was like, oh my god, I'm not going to survive my excitement level if this is actually a Silent Hill game. Even though I didn't really want Silent Hill to go first person, I just was like, I was going to just welcome a new Silent Hill if somehow this series was returning. But instead it turned out to be the Blair Witch. And it seems like it's definitely borrowing from what Outlast is. It might even be on the same engine. So it doesn't necessarily look like the most original horror game, but I adore the Blair Witch Project. The first movie is one of my all-time favorite movies. I even liked the newer one that just came out, just the Blair Witch, a couple years ago. And making a video game like this that looks super, super scary, and I love the vibe and atmosphere, great. Just super great. That is a Rob-approved game, like I said, right up my alley. And there wasn't a whole lot of surprise games today. So this being one of the few surprises, I think I might have to say it's my favorite surprise. Another big highlight was that Cyberpunk 2077 trailer, because the trailer itself, it's one of the ones that's half disappointing because it was all CG. And again, we've seen 40 minutes of gameplay, so I was so disappointed that they gave us just a CG trailer. Sure, it was a fun 4 minutes of just people fighting each other, but it's like, I don't really care. I want to see the game in motion again, man. I'm very excited for Cyberpunk, you guys. It is super, super exciting to me. They did confirm a date way earlier than I predicted. April 2020. That game is less than a year from now. Wow, what a shocker. I thought it was going to be next gen, and as of right now, it's not, because it is releasing next year in April. Very exciting. And then, of course, we have to talk about the greatest moment, the reveal of Keanu Reeves in the game at the very end, which is so mind-blowing. And then he actually showed up on stage at Microsoft's press conference. Like, what the hell? And it was such a great, endearing, fun moment. He just seemed both natural and, awkward because he's an actor, but on stage talking to a bunch of gamers. But Keanu just has such a good, pure vibe to him, man. What an awesome guy. We just rewatched the first John Wick last night too, which is just a really funny coincidence. So, you know what? I mean, I said this on Twitter and I'm going to say it again. To me, that moment, an actor on stage and his presence, that was the highlight of the entire show for me. A couple of other big things happened. They confirmed that Microsoft has also now purchased Double Fine Studios, which is a big shocker. They are just gobbling up studios, and Double Fine is a pretty big get. You know, they really make some very high profile indie games, you know, whatever that balance is. The biggest thing to me would have to be Psychonauts 2 must be exclusive to Xbox now, right? Unless they do something like with Minecraft where they allow it to go on other consoles, which could happen. It really could. But for now, I'm going to take it as this game is now exclusive to Xbox, Psychonauts 2. So huge business move, huge win for Microsoft. Very, very surprising. I thought that was pretty cool. They did show finally a trailer for that Dragon Ball Z Project Z action RPG game, which I think they revealed the title to just be DBZ Kakarot, I think. Amazing. So freaking good. I love Dragon Ball. If you can't tell, my girlfriend and I both are huge fans. We're going through Super right now, still for the first time. We are behind by a couple years, and loving it. And so this game just looks amazing. Like, finally, they're just giving us an action game that appears to be covering the entire story of Z, because they showed, you know, the battle with Vegeta, then the battle with Frieza, and I think I remember seeing Cell in there, right? Did they go through it all? I don't know. I assume it's going to be all the way, you know, the entire story of Boo you're going to play through. Love that idea. Very, very exciting. Just looks like a perfect game. Big moment was confirming Gears of War 5 for September 10th this year. I kind of thought that that might be a 2020 game, but I knew that there was a shot it would come out this year, and it's earlier than I expected. Cannot wait for Gears of War 5. Again, no gameplay of that game, just 2 CG trailers, which to me is not freaking exciting. What are you doing, man? Show us this game. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. We know it's Gears. We know what it's going to be like. We know it's going to be great. I'm a huge Gears of War fan. And I'm so glad it's coming out this year on the Xbox One. I mean, I'll have a reason to buy like a legit quality exclusive game on my Xbox One this year, which I am more than excited for. The last major game I want to talk about, we don't know too much about, and it was leaked right before E3 this year, and that is Elden Ring, the new game from Miyazaki and George R.R. Martin. And it is actually being developed by From Software. I don't know if that was part of the leak. I hadn't heard that as part of the leak. I thought it was going to be maybe something separate, but no, it's published by Bandai, developed by From Software, and, you know, directed and written by Miyazaki, the creator of Dark Souls, and George R.R. Martin, the Game of Thrones guy. Like, and the trailer they showed, again, only CG, but this is one where just selling me on the tone of what they're doing and letting us understand it's gonna have another Dark Souls kind of feel to it. It's all I need in my heart to feel good. I'm so pumped for that game, you guys. I love Dark Souls. I really like Sekiro too. Sekiro is a great, great game. Now that I've had some distance from it, I realize that it does not hold a candle to Dark Souls or Bloodborne, but it is a great game. So clearly, From Software just knows how to make these games and make them well. And knowing that they're partnering with George R.R. Martin is so exciting because he's a phenomenal writer, and it's just like a passion project thing that is another thing, just like Blair Witch, that just speaks to me. So it's a huge win. People are going to be very excited. I assume it'll be multi-platform, not exclusive, but definitely great to see that. The next thing I want to move to beyond actually video games is the quick, brief mention of Project Xcloud. Now, I have to admit, I thought they were going to spend more time on this, but really, Phil Spencer took about 3 or 4 minutes to just talk about it, and no real details. The closest thing to a detail we got was confirming that this October, they're going to launch what they're calling console streaming. And what it sounded like, maybe some of you tech heads can tell me if I'm misinterpreting what he was saying, but what it sounded like to me is he said you can use your console as your server to play on multiple devices. So almost the same way you can make a phone like a Wi-Fi hotspot to log in with other devices. Maybe that's what they're doing with the Xbox One this year, and probably part of the next Xbox, the next console, is that Project Xcloud is your Xbox becomes its own server. And so you can then, just like Google Stadia wants you to do, if you want a game on an Xbox game or on Game Pass on your laptop, your PC, maybe a phone and a tablet, you can do it because you're actually streaming right through your Xbox. Again, not technology or game experiences that's interesting to me. You guys know that. But it's cool, I guess. You know, it's more stuff that I don't really care about in gaming. It's their answer to Google Stadia, or, you know, Google Stadia was their answer to this, however you want to look at it. It would have been nice to get some more details just to understand how they plan to combat Google Stadia. But I also don't really care about this stuff, so I was actually really glad that it was only 2 or 3 minutes. They just mentioned it, and I assume later this year, maybe at an Inside Xbox, they're going to detail it further for people who are interested. I have zero interest. I won't be messing with it because just like with Google Stadia, I don't care about Project Xcloud. I only want to see what the battle looks like. I do want to see the battle, but I don't care about that experience. So that's that. Now, to be fair, there is one more game I need to talk about, but before I do that, I need to talk about the big daddy, the thing that we were all waiting to see going into the show, and they did kind of give it to us, and that is the new console. What they are calling officially Project Scarlett, which probably is saying that that's not actually the final name. Last year, Phil Spencer told somebody in an interview after their show that the next console they're internally calling Scarlett. And so today, when they actually revealed something officially on the E3 stage, they said it's Project Scarlett. So just like Project Scorpio turned into the Xbox One X, I don't think Scarlett is the final name of this thing. But for now, the public acknowledgement of this is that title. And, you know, I gotta say, didn't really get much out of this. They did the thing that I was hoping they wouldn't do. And it's exactly what they did do with the Xbox One X initially, where all they did is have like a 3 or 4 minute montage of, you know, close-up interviews with developers saying buzzwords and buzz phrases about technology and the next console and this great power that they're making. And that's it. I mean, it was literally just that montage. That's the exact same thing they did with the One X, and it's the exact same thing they did today with Project Scarlett. And that's, to me, is not exciting or interesting. And it was also made even worse by the fact that they just were, for the first half of it, they're just talking a bunch of tech spec mumbo jumbo. And you guys know me, it's not my forte. I'm not a tech guy. I'm not into it. I don't know it. I'm just hearing, oh, Elemento P5, 6 GDR, 7.8 DirectX 7. Like, you know, nonsensical Ryzen McRusenflusen is going to be plugged into the chipset of the Longitude. Like, and it's just, to me, it just sounds like muckety muck. And I know for a lot of you guys, you know everything that they're saying, and maybe it gets you excited for some reason. And like, that's cool. I'm glad for you. But for me and people like me, it's not the stuff I care about. Like, I can just deal with the simplicity of, we're making a new console. It's going to be really powerful. It's going to do things you've never seen. The most powerful of its kind. Look forward to it. That would get it done for me. I don't really understand or care about the internal components. The only thing I understand with 35 years of gaming under my belt is the final result, the final product. I know what a more powerful console will do. Better graphics, better lighting, better AI, bigger worlds, better improved loading, you know, XYZ, all these different results of more power. That's what I understand. I can't really care about all the stuff on the inside, and they talked so much about that. And so, you know, to me, that was like really boring and not interesting. And then they just kept talking about it as a concept for the last half of the little video. And it's just, we're really excited. It's this great thing. It's going to be a thing. And oh my God, a new console. And then hooray, the future. And so, yeah, that was that. You know, no official actual gameplay. Nothing really on the games front, except for one thing in a minute I'll talk about. And, you know, it is nice to hear that the way Phil was phrasing things, like, we're still committed. Our home console business drives us here at Xbox. So people who've had fears that they might be stepping out of the home console business or turning the Xbox into a service, you know, from hardware into a service available on all the devices, it seems like that's not the plan. They're doubling down on hardware, doubling down on the Xbox as a home console device, even though they're going to start moving more into PC stuff and cloud and cloud-powered stuff, streaming stuff. It still seems like it's going to be an actual console as of right now. And so that part is cool. And like, I am excited for it because I like Xbox. I like home consoles. I want the next generation to still be another generation of 3 machines that sit underneath our TVs. And so I think that we're still in that territory with what they're telling us about Project, oh my God, I was going to say Project Scorpio, Project Scarlett. And that's pretty interesting. That's what it is. I would have liked more. I would have liked to make it a full actual console reveal. But they didn't do that. They didn't show us a controller. They didn't show us a box or a machine. They didn't give us actual detail. They didn't show us games. It just was an idea. What they did tell us is that it's launching next holiday, 2020. So we have a 2020 holiday launch for the Xbox Project Scarlett, named for now. And then they did talk about Halo Infinite, which was great to see. Again, 100% CG. They showed no gameplay of Halo, and that is very, very sad to me. However, they confirmed what I have been saying for so long, and many people on many of my videos have told me that they think I'm crazy and totally disagreed with this, but I knew it. For like the last year, I knew this was going to happen. Halo Infinite is launching the next Xbox. Phil Spencer confirmed we will launch Project Scarlett next holiday with Halo Infinite. So there you go. I do personally think that the window is still open for Halo Infinite to be a multi-generational game. It may also still launch on the Xbox One. I would be shocked if it didn't, as a matter of fact. But the only thing they actually said was that it is launching the next Xbox. So right now, that's where we are. They showed a trailer. It was really neat. This guy is getting ready to die in his ship. He finds Master Chief outside. He wakes up Master Chief. He says, we've lost the war. We've lost the battle. You see the Halo ring is broken, and it's like, oh, I gotta go. And then he just flies out of the ship and does some Master Chief stuff. So that's great. It looked and sounded like a Halo cutscene. I'm very, very excited. I know the game will be amazing. They hinted at furthering the relationship between him and Cortana, and it's very interesting to me because of how Cortana ended in Halo 5, and it was very surprising. So whatever they do with their relationship in Infinite, I'm very excited for, because that's my favorite part of Halo. Beyond the gameplay is also the relationship between Master Chief and Cortana. So, man, there you go. Lots of new Xbox, next gen, Project Scarlett, Halo Infinite, holiday 2020, so much stuff. So in a nutshell, that's my takeaway from the press conference this year. Like I said, I was expecting amazing. We got pretty good. And there were some disappointing aspects, and the reveal of Project, I always want to say Scorpio, the reveal of Project Scarlett did not really impress. So I didn't really get much out of this other than a date and a confirmation of Halo launching the next machine. Not a lot of gameplay shown today. That was very disappointing. So if I was going to grade their conference overall, I normally really like Microsoft shows. This one took a dip for me. I'm going to give this a B-. I think I'm going B-. I almost want to give it a B because the games were good, but no gameplay today, man. Just disappointed me. So a B-. Still a good show. A solid showing from Microsoft. I'm very excited to find out more next year. And yeah, that's it, man. So Bethesda happens tonight. Tomorrow is Ubisoft, and Tuesday is the Big Daddy. We're going to get Nintendo's E3 Direct, so I'll be covering all that stuff and trying to do a live stream here or there, maybe tonight, probably, maybe even tomorrow I'll probably do a live stream or something. So yeah, I think for now this video's a wrap. Please discuss your thoughts on Microsoft's show below. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? It was dumb? Whatever you think, talk about it. And that's it. Thanks, of course, as always, for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R Review, and I'll catch you next time on another video.